Welcome in, Fins faithful. What's going on? Miami Dolphins. A lot of decisions at quarterback. They're staring at a franchise-defining quarterback decision. They're adding a quarterback this offseason. That's not the question. The question is how. Trade, free agency, draft. And even if they make a move now, 27 still has to fit in the plans. And so let's dive into it because whichever path they choose, it's going to change everything. So we'll break it all down, every realistic option, and figure out who should be the new quarterback one and look at all avenues and the mindset of this organization. So jump in with us, guys. Flying solo tonight. How's everybody doing? I see the chat already active. Cap for life. Lou, Robert, what's up, everybody? I appreciate you guys spending your Thursday night here with us. All right, so let's start off here. We got to stop. Before we talk about free agency, before we talk about trades, before we talk about the draft, we need to understand something here. The Miami Dolphins, they're not tweaking this roster. They're resetting it. You saw the news, Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, and with more moves likely coming, the rumors of they're looking to explore the trades of Mika Fitzpatrick. This isn't a minor adjustment. They're in a full shift mode, right? And that's what it should be. This is the beginning of the new phase. So we're going to break down how the Dolphins can add a quarterback this offseason, whether it's going to be free agency, whether it's going to be trade or the draft. And we're going to evaluate every option kind of through one question. Does this move fit a full reset? Because this team is not one piece away. They're going to be building for that next version under John Eric Sullivan. And it all ends with the quarterback at 60% of this whole thing. So buckle up here, guys. We're going to go through a bunch of options. We already got questions. How many quarterbacks will they carry, 2 or 3? We'll get into all that, guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. So let's just start with it. We're going to start with the free agent route. How about that? And you see the list of names here on the free agents. Let's start with that immediate path because if Miami wants to experience without giving up draft capital, this is where kind of the decision will begin. When you look at this list, there's really one name to me, maybe 2 that makes sense. And Chad, I want you involved. Tell me your guys' opinions throughout this. I'll pull up some of the questions. We'll answer some questions. I'm going to lean on you guys tonight. So Malik Willis is, to me, the one of obviously the most important. It's the most talked about that we've talked about through this whole process. So when you look at Malik, and let's start there. The thing I like about Malik, and he's young enough, he has real experience, and if he continues to grow in a system, especially with the regime that he's familiar with, there's still franchise level upside here. That's what's great about Malik compared to some other guys. But the problem with Malik also is, and here's where it gets interesting, is going to be the money. Are the Dolphins sitting in that room asking themselves, and I'm sure they are, is he worth the 20 to 25 million, let's say on a 3-year deal, right? That's probably the range, and that's probably even modest right now. Because if you do that, you got to ask another question, and we'll get to the draft stuff and trade. Does that take you the 27 draft off the table maybe? Because unless he proves, like in year 1, that he's a true franchise guy, or he's at least trending that way, the draft still has to be a part of the plan. And so you ask the bigger question, can you sign Malik Willis and still build a quarterback pipeline? Can you draft a quarterback at 27 with Malik Willis? And if Willis hits, fantastic. We've seen that in Green Bay, the pipeline. If he doesn't fully hit, but he plays well and he becomes a trade asset, look at Green Bay. They never let the pipeline dry up. They always have a quarterback developing behind the starter. That's something this Dolphins organization has been missing for a long time. And when you look at it, quite honestly, that's probably one of the biggest reasons, not the most, why they haven't won a playoff game in 25 years. We talk about it all the time. I don't think they've took enough chances in that position. I think that's the one positive thing we'll see with this regime change is that. So this isn't, we talked about Malik. This isn't just about signing Malik. It's kind of about building the plan of a sustainable quarterback plan. I think he fits best if you're looking at all the free agents. Because, to me, guys in the chat, I'm curious your opinion. When you the real question, do you like Malik Willis? Sure. I like Malik Willis. I was a big fan of him coming out. He's a dual threat, legitimate. His arm is special, and he's shown improved kind of efficiency in Green Bay, even though it was on a short kind of window span, only a couple games. But can you sign him, and can you stay flexible enough to draft your true franchise quarterback if the opportunity presents itself? And if the answer is yes, let's be real. I think they got smart cap people in the building. Then you can make both work. I think, look, you're not signing him to a $50 million Tua Tagovailoa deal or a franchise quarterback deal. You're getting average starter money, which is $20-25 million. It sounds crazy. But if you think that signing kind of boxes you in, then you better, and I'm going to highlight this, you better absolutely be certain he's the guy. Because all the guys we talk about today, he's probably the one who you could see potentially having a long-term solution at that position. There's a few others that we're going to talk about, don't get me wrong. But they're going to have competition. A team like the Cardinals, I think, if they move off Kyler Murray, could absolutely get involved. And that happens. We're not talking football. We're talking moolah. And because if a team like Arizona jumps into that $30 to $35 million range, that might price Miami out. And that's an important part of this, because how high the bidding goes will probably tell us everything we need to know what this new regime really thinks of Malik. If the guys are aggressive, if they push the number, that'll tell you, hey, they believe he can be the guy. How's the chat? Let's jump into the chat. Yeah, if we can't get Malik, I'm not interested in all the other quarterbacks listed here at projected price. Pickett will be cheap, but he's way young. Yeah. There's one more guy on the list I could see to make sense, and we'll talk about him. But I agree with you, Jacob. Shout out to Jacob. Overpaying a quarterback this season just doesn't make any sense in a rebuild. That will purge a lot of players. This team is 2 years away from being competitive. Agreed. Couldn't agree more. Malik may be very steep. Lou, you're right. The Dolphins can make the cap space, but we'll see. Definitely will come with the price. Lou, shout out to Lou. Heard something the other day that only the true backup quarterback to hit has been Jimmy G. Everyone else is a draft pick or an established via free agency. Shout out to the chat, man. Thank you, guys. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. I'm flying solo. I appreciate the support. Shout out to Lou and everybody. We really appreciate keep this channel growing. It's been tremendous over these last few weeks. The support you're showing there, guys. You've shown us and myself and Jason. So we appreciate it. Lou also says, I don't think he would do a 2-year deal and bet on himself, especially with a team like us where we're not ready to win next contract opportunity. Fair enough. All right. You mentioned Jimmy G, Lou. Let's talk about the link to Jimmy G and the Miami Dolphins, because this one makes sense on this kind of terms. Let me explain. Let me be clear. It only makes sense under one condition. Garoppolo makes sense only if he's coming off as a kind of an insurance policy, kind of a veteran presence, a steady backup, not the guy, not the future, not the starter. Garoppolo fits in a very specific lane here. This is if you're rolling with Quinn Ewers in kind of a young draft pick, and we'll talk about all those different options. The thing of great about Jimmy is he understands the timings in this kind of offense. He backed up last year, stayed healthy finally with Matthew Stafford. He's played in a structured system. He can manage games. If Ewers misses a couple of weeks, Jimmy G can keep you afloat. That's the job. But let's not ignore reality. Durability has always been the concern with Garoppolo. He missed time throughout his career. So if you sign him, you're not asking for 17 games. You're asking for stability in these little short bursts. So here's the part I like. I think you bring in Garoppolo, who's a clear veteran. He's 38 years old or something like that. You keep Ewers as a starter in this scenario. Then you draft a quarterback in rounds, let's say 3 to 5 in this draft. And we'll get to that. We'll talk about these quarterbacks. Stay in this draft. Stay for that. Someone you can quietly develop, whether it's your Drew Allar, Garrett Nussmeier, Cole Payton, Taylor Green. We'll get into these names. Now, what I like about it, your quarterback room has some layers to it, right? You got a young starter with some upside in Ewers. You got a veteran who can steady the ship, and you got a developmental rookie learning in the background. To me, that's smart quarterback room and quarterback roster construction compared to, let's say, a Geno Smith, who could be released soon. Could be under this free agent. He could be under trade. I don't know. Geno is going to come in here, a guy like that, look to compete and start somewhere else. And probably just win you enough games. But we've already been through that. We've already been through the NFL purgatory of kind of being in the middle. And I think this regime is smarter than that. Somebody like Geno's coming in, not to mentor, he's coming in to start. So that slows the growth of Quinn Ewers. I don't like that. I don't want any progress stoppers for Ewers or a rookie. Jimmy G, as a backup, also kind of preserves your quarterback. You know, he's got a veteran sense about him. So if veteran insurance, yes. Quarterback progress stoppers, I'm out. Absolutely not. That's how this move makes sense. The rest of these guys on this list, I don't know if anybody else likes any of these guys. You said Jimmy G only fits if we don't sign him to start. Nevertheless, he could win a game or two. We really shouldn't win to direct our drafting at a franchise quarterback in 27. I agree. The big question, too, is what's their plan? What do they want to see for next year? Do they want to win games? Like, are they going to – and yes, every team's going to play to win, but the way you structure it, and basically, honestly, it comes down to the quarterback position most of the time. We should have learned that. All we had to do is put in Josh Rosen, and we're picking Joe Burrow. So you can still compete to win. These are NFL guys. The coaches are not going to purposely lose, but how you structure it, especially at the quarterback position, you can do both things. I can see that, Robert. Our win total is projected at 4.5. Do we really want another Ryan Fitzpatrick type quarterback that costs us a chance of Burrow? Absolutely not. I'm just showing you the list. I couldn't agree more with you guys in the chat. Mariota's a no for me. Flacco's a no for me. Pickett's a no for me. Cousins, nah. Aaron Rodgers, no. So to me, out of this list, I'm curious to get what you guys think. Daniel Jones is going back to the Indianapolis Colts, and we'll talk about the Colts in the trade scenario here coming up. But to me, it's Malik Willis, and it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Make the most sense for two different reasons. Put the polls on fuego, bro. Thank you, Cap for life. I appreciate everybody coming in here. Join us on YouTube. Everybody, thumbs up, subscribe, come support us. We appreciate it, man. Again, we appreciate all the support. So what do you guys think of this list? What's the quarterbacks you like? To me, Malik Willis, Jimmy Garoppolo on this list, what make the most sense? Now, what will they do? I don't see any other avenue as far as that on this list that I like. So that's kind of my deal on that free agent. To me, the biggest name that makes the most sense here is Malik Willis, and what's going to matter the most is the money. Is it going to get out of hand? And we're going to find out if how much they believe in. Because I'm going to tell you, we had David Hyde on, who said Mike Tannenbaum said he could get 35 million. We had Ari Meirov, who said, yeah, he's going to get paid. The Cardinals could be big competition. So these are all names on this list that I think are potential. But to me, that makes the most sense, again, is Malik Willis and Jimmy Garoppolo for two different reasons, like I mentioned. You can go either way on that. So let's go on now. We're gonna transition. Shout out to everybody again. Thank you guys all in the chat. Gap, sorry, Sarni out sick. Yes, Jacob, everybody, appreciate you guys. All right, so let's move to the kind of trade options. I think this is the funnest, right? I think everybody loves trades. They love kind of the mock trades. And I got one in particular that I really like, and I've been banging the table for this, which is the trade option. And I'll bring up the list, and there's some names here that are interesting. All right, so we've talked about what's sitting on the open market. Now let's talk about what actually might cost you something, because that changes the equation. You have to give up a little something. Let's talk about, and again, chat, tell me who you think you like here. Guys you like. Who's your favorite? So trade options. Let's start in the top. Let's start with Kyler Murray. This one, to me, doesn't make much sense, but he's the biggest name on the list. The Dolphins are already going to be eating to his dead money. And so now you're telling me they're going to absorb Kyler's contract too? Doubt it. It's over $78 million across 26 and 27. Nah, it's pretty clear we're in a full reset. That makes zero sense to me. Obviously, Kyler's talented. No one's going to debate that. But talent alone doesn't make the move right. Where this team is right now, financially and structurally, this is the time for that kind of swing. while absorbing, unless they just swap for Tua, to be honest, which I don't see. The Cardinals, it doesn't make sense for the Cardinals, So, look, I think Malik is cheaper, and he's younger, and I don't think he's seen his best football yet. I think there's still growth there and upside, so I'd rather go Malik than this option. And more importantly, there's flexibility there, kind of voids in the contract and stuff that can open up some things. Kyle Murray, to me, feels like a move that a team that thinks it's close, like the old regime would think. Dolphins are not close. So Kyle Murray, for me, not the move I would make. I don't think they're interested in that. But trade down, trade Mika, pick up 2 or 3 picks. Yours, quarterback 1, Miller, quarterback 3, draft Taylor Green in round 3. Taylor Green, I think he's more of a day 3 pick, but you guys know I'm a big fan of Taylor Green. We'll get there when we get to the draft portion of it. I think the Hawks keep Milroe. Don't see them getting rid of him without a high price. Yeah, Jacob, you might be right. We'll get to it. But let me get to my favorite one, Anthony Richardson. I've been kind of beating this drum for a while. So let's play this. Walk with me. Let's play this scenario out. If Chris Ballard, who's kind of like Chris Greer mode here, he's truly in win now mode. He's up against it. There's a lot of pressure from ownership. He's on the hot seat. He's in that desperation mode. So let's say you make the call, Chris, you need some wins? Not development, not patient. You need wins. So, hey, Daniel Jones is coming off an Achilles. There's no guarantees fully himself by September. You can't afford to fall behind early in that division. We got a 28-year-old quarterback who's won some games at a time, played high-level football. Could use a change of scenery. You're in a heavy, controlled weather division, a lot of warm weather teams. You play in a dome. This guy can help stabilize your season until Jones gets back. Now we got to get real. Miami's got to say, we'll eat all the money. We'll eat it all besides $7 or $10 million. Now Indianapolis is looking at a starting caliber quarterback for only about $10, $11 million on their books. A guy who they can help kind of right the ship until Jones gets back for 10 or 11. That's high backup money. It's not bad for Tua. That's a calculated risk for them. And for the Dolphins, send us a younger player. It's more fits our timeline. We're on 2 different timelines. Anthony Richardson battled injuries. He's only a few years removed from being the 4th overall pick. He may need to change the scenery. He's due, I believe, 1 more year at $10.82 million. And guess what? After that, it's a player option. You don't have to exercise it. You get a look-see at him for 1 year. And a plus for Indy, they also save $5 million in cap space if they move him before June 1st. So it works for both sides. And you tell Chris Ballard, hey, thank you for helping us facilitate a deal and cut our dead cap in half. Here's a 4th-round pick. It's a long-term flexibility move. You move off Tua. You create, you reset your structure here. You start cleaning your books. Fits with your timeline, and you sell the upside here. Maybe a change of scenery can unlock both guys. And if he doesn't, you walk away. The Colts can walk away with 0 cap relief, with a bunch of cap relief in 2027 on Tua. That lowers the risk for them. And it fits their timeline. They have to win. We're in a totally different timeline than them. We're young. It's the first year of a new regime. This isn't fantasy football. He's got to leverage his job security here. And when a general manager is fighting for his career, the logic might shift. We've seen it here in Miami. But I think the big question is, does Indianapolis believe Richardson is still their future, or are they too impatient to find out? And I think they might be too impatient to find out. He wants to get out of there too, it was reported. But it's a low risk, high reward. Anthony Richardson still is a 6'5", 240-pound freak. Runs a 4.4. That's not normal. That's a physical freak. There's injury history, and he hasn't developed as a passer the way you'd hope. But here's the key. You're not bringing him to hand him the keys like you would Malik Willis. You're bringing him to compete, let him battle Quinn Ewers, see if your coaching staff can unlock the passing development. Because as we've seen with Darnold and even the guy we're looking at in Malik Willis, quarterback development is not linear. Change of scenery matters. Confidence matters. Systems matter. And with Richardson, it's an ultimate lottery ticket with rare physical traits in a division that's trending towards bigger, stronger, weatherproof quarterbacks. Talent doesn't disappear overnight. He was the 4th overall pick not too long ago. And here's a question. Howard Levis might have a higher ceiling and won't cost as much as Richardson. I don't know what Levis is going to cost. I was going to put Levis on this list, but, I'm just not a big fan. Higher floor. Sam Howell, I agree with you, George. AR could be a good trade for a good price. The Colts are acting like they're in win-now mode. Yeah, they're absolutely in win-now mode, Jacob. Chris Ballard, Ari Mayroff said Chris Ballard's in the same situation Chris Greer was in. He's had a lot of time to fix the issue, and it's time's running out. You can convince me on this if Tua is part of the trade. I see what you're thinking, can get behind that. Absolutely need more investment in the room, but it's an interesting room for sure. Agreed. I know some people are not a fan of it, but you got to look bigger. Remember, and let's bring up the cap. Let's bring up what this also be helping real quick. Let's bring up, here's what I want to explain to you. So look what happens if you're able to pull off a pre-June 1st trade. The dead cap goes on Tua from $99 million on a release pre-June 1st. And if you trade him pre-June 1st, your dead cap's only $45 million. So you're cutting in that half. The Colts know that. They know that you'll probably end up releasing him anyways. So you got to attach a pick, like a 4th-round pick, to please them. And then you see in the bottom, post-June 1st release. If they don't end up trading Tua, that's the most likely destination, that post-June 1st destination. Teams have 2 of those. I think if they do release him, it'll be one of those, and you'll see the post-June 1st destination. It takes that $99 million and splits the dead cap money in 26 and 27. So you're doing $67 million in 26 versus the 99, and they spread that rest at 31.8 in 27. So, and you get the cap savings. So that'd be the most realistic. But yeah, the teams know they're helping you out by trading for Tua. So I think definitely, you're going to have to sweeten the pot a little bit. As long as, to me, it's not a day 2 pick. If it's a 4th-round pick, I can swallow that. And I think when we talk about that and we talk about the draft question is, if you don't love any of these day 3 quarterbacks in this draft, you want to use that 4th-round pick, let's say on a project like Anthony Richardson versus some of the guys we're going to talk about in the draft, the Alars, the Ness Myers, and all those guys. None of those guys, I can promise you, have Anthony Richardson's physical tools. I can promise you that. So why not use that same 4th-round value to acquire 4th overall pick with elite size, speed, and arm strength? So you're basically choosing between a day 3 lottery pick or a proven athlete. So we'll get into all that when we get into the draft guys. All right, so another guy who I find interesting here is if the Colts want to trade AR for Tua, we eat the salary, that would be palatable. Yeah, I agree. But again, if we're on 100% mindset, we should be making the trades to get us more picks. Yeah, I agree with all that. Chat's on fire tonight. Appreciate you guys in the chat. All right, so let's go on to the next guy. Jalen Milroy, I believe Jacob mentioned it. Yeah, he's raw. He's got big upside. He was a pick last year for them. He's probably going to cost you more than Richardson, maybe a 3rd-round pick because you're dealing with even a younger player, but very similar to Richardson in the fact that you're betting on the rare athletic ability at the quarterback position. Milroy's a rare athlete at the position, explosive runner, strong arm, still young, still learning. He probably, if you dropped him in this year's draft class, probably he's quarterback 2 or 3 in this year's draft. If you were coming out of this class, so you're essentially getting like kind of a high upside draft prospect through a trade instead. So he's a raw passer. The processing, the consistency needs work. But again, quarterback development isn't linear. Like we mentioned with Richardson, situations matter, coaching matters, confidence matters. With Milroy, you're not buying a finished product. You're betting on, hey, I'd rather have this quarterback who was drafted last year than the quarterbacks in this year's draft, let's say in round 3. Question is going to be the price. Because you're talking about a coaching staff that could develop him in Seattle. They have Sam Darnold. What are they willing to give up? And if it's a 2nd-round pick, I probably hold off. This one's more likely than not. I agree with Jacob. I don't think they're going to move him, but he's the kind of lotto ticket I would because you're talking about rare physical talent at the most important position in sports, the quarterback position. Let's see what the chat. What about Joe Milton? Yeah, he's another guy. They just moved him last year. I'm not a huge. I like the talent. He's kind of fits that same mold of a Richardson and a Milroe, but yeah, Joe Milton in Dallas, not for me. But you have the right kind of thinking there, Robert. That's the type of player I'm talking about. If you want to do it for a day 3 pick, sure, I'll be fine with that. All right, let's move on to Davis Mills. So the reason he's even on this list isn't because he's flashy. It's kind of because of the connection with current Dolphins offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick in Houston. C.J. Stroud kind of had his best numbers under Slowick, and then Slowick was also there with Davis Mills. There's familiarity there. There's system knowledge. There's already a built-in understanding of what Mills does well and what he doesn't. And there's still a lot of questions surrounding Stroud's situation late last year. Some people even argued Mills should have played in that final playoff game. Now, I'm not saying Mills is a franchise quarterback, guys, but he doesn't have traits like a Richardson or upside of like a Milroe, but he's competent, he's experienced, he's safe, he knows the system. If this was a pure competition room, Mills versus Ewers, Mills is coming in as a starter. But here's the issue, right? Is he raising the ceiling? No. Is he steady? Yeah. But in a reset, I'm not looking for steady. We need upside. And that's where Mills becomes more of a fallback option. And he's on an expiring contract. If Houston doesn't extend him, he could walk away in 27 and get nothing. But I still think they're going to be asking a big price there. They're a playoff team. And the way Stroud played at the end of the year, would Houston move him for the right offer rather than risk losing him for nothing? Maybe. But it would take something respectable now from a Dolphins perspective. You know, Mills is safe. He's competent. He knows Slowick's system. Not a ceiling play, but you know, I don't think he moves ultimately. You'd probably take a day 2 pick to get him, and for that, his ceiling, not for me. It's too much in the middle, too safe. It just doesn't match. What do you guys think of? They're both. George had a rumor today that the Texans may be shopping. Yeah, I heard that too. I don't think they would be. I think the beat writer in Houston kind of shot it down, actually. But you never know. I heard that same kind of thing. I think who's their big time beat writer that's over there? John something. But yeah, I agree with you, Lou. I think they don't shop him, but I think the leash is going to be a lot shorter on him, Lou. And Davis Mills, if he performs like he did last year at points, I think you might see Davis Mills get some serious playing time. They're both lottery. They're both all lottery tickets. Yeah, true. Most of them are lottery tickets here. Chad, I love the question. I love all the questions. I agree. Most likely post cut June for Tua. Yep. Yeah, I'd say if it's not a trade, I will say this about the trade option with Tua, guys. I think it's more realistic than we give it credit for. I think some team, if you attach some sort of pick, right, some team will be interested in Tua because they might need we talked about Indianapolis, right? You got a situation where their quarterback's not ready and they got to win. And listen, as much as crap as I give Tua, you know, if he gets a little healthier and in a dome, he can help you win some games till your guy gets back. Who knows? He might even be unplanned Daniel Jones. So you never know. Bring me Jameis Winston. He'd be fun. Okay, he'd be fun to cover. I will say that. He'll be fun to cover. Jameis Winston. He's a lot of fun, man. That's another name out there. Yeah. He kind of fits. Actually, he kind of fits that veteran in the room for a team not still looking to kind of hold the integrity of that 27 pick. He actually fits. So, all right, let's go to the Mac Jones, because I recently saw rumors about Mac Jones. Let's be fair to Mac Jones. He did revitalize his career in 2025. All right, let's be fair to him. He went 5-3 in 8 starts, filling in for the injured Brock Purdy. I think he had like 13 touchdowns. QBR was 62, which was 10th in the NFL. He had like 70% almost completion percentage. That's nothing. I mean, stylistically, the offense he ran there is very similar to what Miami likes to do. So timing, structure, rhythm throws, play action. Yeah, man, he proved he can function in that environment. So there's a real football argument here. But where I draw the line, right? Here's where I draw the line. If the asking price is a second-round pick, I'm out. And that's reportedly what they want for Mac Jones. They're crazy sauce if they're getting a second-round pick for Mac Jones. I am out. Completely out. Mac Jones is not worth day 2 draft capital, especially for this franchise. If we're talking a 4th, 5th, conditional 5th, maybe I consider it. But at that price, it's a low-risk evaluation. But I'm going to tell you right now, Mac Jones is going to be someone that's going to be coming in and hold the clipboard. After reviving his value in San Fran, he's going to want to be in a situation where he believes he can compete, start long-term. So now you have to ask, are the Dolphins offering him a bridge role? Or are they offering him a real runway? He's not going to take a bridge role. So bottom line is, performance in 25 make him interesting. The system fit makes it logical, but the price determines everything. Second-round pick, no bueno. I'm out. Calculated swings are fine, but not overpays. So what's happening, fellas? Shout out to Adrian Rainy Day Pod. Mac Jones has a good floor, but a low ceiling. He isn't much of an upgrade. I agree. At that point, just roll with Quinn. Yeah, anybody else? Geno Smith probably not going to be a trade. He's going to be released. But, yeah, my favorite of this list is Anthony Richardson. He's the most realistic of this list. I'd love Jalen Milroe in a similar kind of situation, a raw athletic upside, but I don't think he's going to be available. I do Anthony Richardson. I take a flyer on him without Tua, even without Tua involved. But then you drop it to maybe a 5th, 6th-round pick. But that's my favorite. I'm banging the table and the drum for that. I'm not getting off that. I just think these kind of guys don't grow on trees with that kind of traits. Believe in your system, believe in your coaching, and believe you can develop the passing. Great organization takes shots. Look at how the guy we're talking about, Malik Willis, they traded a 7th-round pick to get Malik Willis from Tennessee. You take shots with guys that have rare traits again. So, yeah. That's my opinion on the trade options. Who are some of your guys' favorite trade options on this list? Okay, so we talked about free agent. We talked about trade. Now we're going to get into the draft stuff, right? The draft stuff. And shout out chat. Thank you guys so much for coming in out and throw all your questions. I'll try to answer them all. Make sure you guys throwing that thumbs up. Little subscribe to the bell. Help support us here. We're building, we're growing, we're going to get more great guests like we have on. I appreciate it. I'm flying solo today. Sorry couldn't make it tonight, but we put all this great show. We wanted to go live for you guys. We didn't want to cancel it out. And we are going live also on Saturday. I'll drop that knowledge at the end of the show. Okay, so let's go to draft options. Now, we talked about trades. That's borrowing someone else's timeline. Draft, that's about building your own timeline. You're done patching, you're not recycling. The real solution might not be on this roster. It might be walking across the stage in April. So let's shift to the draft. Let's shift to the draft options. All aboard the nuts. All aboard the nuts, baby. Yeah, Jacob, I know you are. Shout out Jacob Lehman, part of the Finn's Faithful family. Appreciate you. All right, so Fernando Mendoza, forget about it. We know he's going 1-1, but you got to put him on the list. You kind of got it. All right, so let's go to the next guy, Ty Simpson. If you guys watched, you should have watched already if you haven't. Watch the All-22 breakdown I did on Ty Simpson. If you saw it, for a guy check it out. It's in the video section. I put a lot of work on it, and it gives you a real good explanation what I think of the scouting report on Ty Simpson. For a guy with 15 career starts, the pre- and post-snap intelligence, fellas, let me tell you, is very impressive. Sees the field well, processes quickly, really good intermediate accuracy. And I think the biggest thing I came away when I watched him on film was he's an underrated playmaker outside the pocket. There's more than people are giving him credit for there. But here's the real question, because in a weak quarterback class, he's going to be the second quarterback. and you're gonna have he's not gonna make it to round of 43, your second round pick. Are you taking him at 11? Because if you take him at 11, let me tell you something, fellas, you better have a real good conviction on him, and I mean real good. He's probably going to be the second quarterback taken in this week class, like I said. So if you try to trade down to the 20s, maybe, I'll tell you another thing. He might not even get there. You got the Steelers at 21. You got the Jets at 16. You got the Rams at 13 and 20-something. Quarterbacks rise late in this process every year. So now, Chad, here's the question. Or if you're watching this when the replay hits, are you considering him at 11? Because if you do, I think you're probably taking yourself out of the 27th draft. You take a quarterback at 11 and turn around. I guess if you get a high enough pick, you can just trade Ty Simpson. That's the whole possibility. And maybe they believe in that. Because remember this, teams evaluate quarterbacks in 2-year windows. And next year, in a stronger class, if I drop Ty Simpson there, he's probably like the 6th or 7th quarterback prospect in that class. So what are you really buying here? Are you buying the player, or are you buying the scarcity of this year's class? Now, where I stand, I'm curious what you guys think. If he's there at 43, absolutely I would consider it. At 11, for me, no. Now, unless your conviction is through the roof, because you're drafting a quarterback, it's about franchise quarterback. I'm not sure. I don't see that with Ty Simpson. I think I see a floor of Bo Nix, Tony Romo. That's kind of the ceiling. Brock Purdy. So if you're not certain, don't force it. That's to me on Ty Simpson. So let's say you don't, want to take Ty Simpson that early. Let's move up. Let's move down. Let's see the real value in round 3 to 5. If you don't want to take a gamble on Richardson, you don't want to overpay in a trade, you want to roll with Quinn Ewers or bring in a veteran like Garoppolo, your real value might be sitting here in round 3 to round 5. Right, chat? I can't pull the trigger. Chat says I can't pull the trigger at 11 for Simpson. At pick 43, I could see Ty being BPA. Jordan Murray says, wait for the 27 draft. Yeah, loading. So, back to the point, round 3 to 5 might be where you live. That's your home. Let's start with one guy. I know my guy, part of the Fitz Faithful family, my guy Lofa, he loves Drew Allard. I mean, when I say love, he loves Drew Allard. And there's a lot like to love when you look at him on surface. And by the way, the next all-22 breakdown, probably most likely dropping in the next few weeks, is going to be on Drew Allard because he's fascinating. 6'5", 235 pounds. Guy looks like a first-round quarterback getting off the bus. Arm talent is real. Velocity is real. When his base is clean, he can layer throws beautifully, drop it over linebackers, fit it in between zones. There are moments when this guy looks at times like a franchise quarterback. But boy, then there are times when he gets pressured, the mechanics fall apart. He's flat-footed, doesn't step into the throws, misses layup throws. It's like we always love to use baseball terms on here. It's like a shortstop. If you watch baseball, a shortstop who makes the spectacular diving plays, but boots the routine grounders. That's Drew Allard. High risk, high reward. Only played 6 games this year. Still a projection. If you draft Allard, you're betting on the traits. That's what you're betting on, not consistency. But boy, he's fascinating. He's fascinating to look at. He is erratic. Great word. That's a perfect word. Sometimes, Robert, he looks like a first-round pick, and sometimes he looks like an undrafted free agent. You watch him make some throws, and you're like, why did he make that decision? So, and we thought this year was going to be a big year for him to take that next step. But what happened was he only played 6 games, got hurt. And, that tells you that story, right? So, all right, let's kind of move to Ty Simpson will be gone by the 16th pick. Could be. This is a very, very interesting draft for guys to move up in because look, there's not many quarterbacks in this draft, and somebody's going to move up. Bo Payton intrigues you. We're going to get to Cole here. Some comparisons of Aller and Zach Wilson. Foul pinch, shout out to my brother, like Green physically, but he's one of the ones that needs to redshirt and develop and sprinkle and sub package. Agreed. And again, if you're rolling with Ewers and a veteran like Garoppolo, okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. You have the developmental guy, you have your veteran, and you have your upside young starter in Ewers who you want to see what you got, and that aligns perfectly with the plan because you're probably win 5 or 6 games and you'll be in the top 10 in the draft to take one of these quarterbacks. So, yeah, Green's kind of the perfect guy in that situation. But let's move on to Garrett Nussmeier. Different profile. I was really, really high on Nussmeier in 2020. I mean, he put up big numbers. I looked at him like, oh, man, this is a perfect, like if Mike McDaniel was still here. And we kind of carried over a lot of the same traits from Bobby Sloyd, but like he's a perfect fit. In 2024, put up 4,000 yards at LSU, prolific, controlled, was a command. And then 25 became just a medical nightmare. He had the abdominal injury, limited his mechanics, his mobility, everything. But where this guy really stands out is on the intermediate throws. He's got really good high football IQ. He operates in structure really well, understands protection, anticipates windows. But he's not the biggest guy, right? He's not going to physically overwhelm you, but he knows how to play the quarterback position. He has a gunslinger mentality. Some I like. It needs to be managed, but I kind of like it. I like how he manipulates his arm angles, keeps plays alive. He had a really strong Senior Bowl. I could see this guy climbing in round 2. I know Jacob's going to like to hear that. And I actually think this front office is really going to love him. I can see them really liking him. He fits the best in this offense, probably, besides Mendoza or Simpson. A real competitor, yeah. Nussmeier will probably be a combine winner, probably an early second-round pick. Robert, couldn't agree with you more. I could totally see that happen with Nussmeier. Absolutely. But somebody in the chat, they mentioned Cole Payton. Who mentioned Cole Payton? Dolphins should draft a quarterback in the next 3 drafts. I always say draft one every year. To different variations. You're not going to draft one in the first round every year, but damn right, I love it, George. But, yeah, you should always take swings at that position. It's the most important. It's 60% of this whole thing. It's absolutely the most important thing in this. It's the most important position in sports and definitely the NFL. Nussmeier, yeah, he had a big injury last year. I don't know if I'd call him. He's had a history of injuries, yes. But if he was healthy, we'd be talking about him in the second, third round pick. He might be a mid to late first round pick. Jacob, I'm convicted enough to take Nuss in the second. F it. He's my guy. Hey, bang the table if you love him, brother. I love guys who bang the table and have conviction. I love that. All right. So whoever mentioned Cole Payton, boy, I watched him and the more I watch, the more I'm fascinated by Cole Payton. The more you watch him, he's big, he's physical, he's a dual threat. They run a pro-style concept over there. At North Dakota State, he's played 52 games in multiple roles, though. This is the crazy part. 2025, listen to this, guys, was his first full season as a starter at quarterback. First full season. He played 52 games at running back and a quarterback. 25 was his first full season as a starter. And when you watch him, it blows you away. You're drafting traits here, you're drafting development. Don't get mistaken. He's raw, but he's big. He's 6'3", 230. He's thick. He's athletic. That matters in this division. He might be the kind of guy who rises late in this process. So I'm loving him. He's rose to one of my favorites. Like I don't know where he's going to end up, but we're in the top of day 3, 4th, 5th round. I'm starting to think about Cole Payton. So, and then we have, I see a lot of Taylor Green. I know you talked about Taylor Green here in size. Where's that? I'm trying to look for your chat here. Yeah, Green, 6'6", 230 pounds, rocket arm, speed. Look, you see everything you need to see with Cole Payton. You see what with Taylor Green. This guy's a phenomenal athlete at that size. But as you saw on the Senior Bowl, you saw what the strengths and what the weaknesses are with Taylor. 1 minute you see the size, you see the arm strength. I do think too, he's not given enough credit for his accuracy midfield as much. But if he did play, let's say he played at, I don't know, with an Alabama helmet or University of Miami helmet, he'd go higher. I think he's got to fit in a lot of RPO and play action. He can make throws all over the field. He's one of the most dangerous quarterbacks running the ball in this draft class, no doubt. No doubt. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He is electric when it comes down. He's a long strider, so it's deceiving. When you watch him run, it's like, yeah, he doesn't look like he's moving, but he's gone. You know what I mean? So thank you, Lou. Hit that like button. We appreciate it. Appreciate you guys kicking it with me here, talking all the quarterback draft options. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so we can give you this more kind of content, not only from the draft, but covering in all angles, quarterbacks. We have hitting some good mock drafts lately, and we'll have more stuff. We got a show on Saturday. I won't announce the guest yet, but thank you guys, man. Like Lou said, hit that like button. If you blink once, he reminds you of Terrell Pryor. I agree. There could be, that's the risk for him. There could be a position change there. Pryor was also a long strider. You ended up playing tight end, right? Terrell Pryor at Ohio State. So that's a great point by you, Will. That he's a guy who could definitely end up playing switching positions and playing, I don't know, tight end or something like that, or wide receiver. So I agree. He fits the archetype nowadays of the game-changing quarterback we're witnessing in the NFL. He throws the ball well enough to win. I think he's an underrated passer. But you see some of the decision making. You saw it at the Senior Bowl. He's got to limit the turnover plays. He's got to limit some of the mechanics. He needs to take. He's the kind of quarterback that needs to take the check down. Needs to kind of give what's taken to him, and not force things. You say, do we keep 3 quarterbacks and a vet? I think we keep 3 quarterbacks, and I think we talked about earlier. You want to layer the room. If you layer the room with a veteran presence, maybe if you could do it multiple ways. Let's say you do a veteran presence with a Garoppolo, and then you have yours, and then a young draft pick around 3 to 5, right? I think that to me makes the most sense. And if you're looking, I think if you're not looking to trade premium assets, around 3 to 5 is kind of the sweet spot for you. All right, as we come back from the list, I think if round 3 or 5, we look at the sweet spots. Alar, traits for volatility, high risk, high reward. Nussmeier, IQ, touch with limited physical upside. Peyton, developmental athlete with real tools. Now it just becomes a philosophy, because if you're pairing them one up with yours and a veteran, you don't need immediate impact. So it's kind of what avenue you take. You don't need you kind of need just long-term potential in that scenario, and that's where I think this draft gets interesting. Again, not the best draft overall, but some intriguing middle round guys I'd bet on. Who are some of your favorite guys in the list that we talked about? If Green's available, I would take him. If not, Peyton. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Taylor Green. I'm a big fan of Cole Payton as developmental guys. But I'll tell you, Peyton's creeping up. He's become more interesting lately as I've watched him. He's got this intelligence that when you watch him play is for a guy who's only started that long is pretty amazing. Drew Aller, 5th round. Look, he can go, I think 3rd round his name starts to the 5th round. Depends kind of how the pre-draft process goes for a guy like Drew Aller, because he's going to fascinate some teams. Ty Simpson at pick 21. Yeah, I think definitely in the mix there with the Steelers at pick 21. I think that's where all the mocks go. Do the Steelers go that route? I'm not sure, but he can go even higher. Like I said, the conversation for Ty Simpson is not too far off for the Dolphins. Like the Rams at 13, I heard they're very interested in him. So yeah, he might not make it to 21. The Jets at 16, depending on what they do, right? He might not make it there. Nuss, 3rd round. Taylor Green. I don't think Taylor Green will go in the 3rd round. I think he's going to be more of a day 3. I think teams looking at him more as a project. With such a weak quarterback draft and so many quarterback needy teams, equals overdraft quarterbacks. Yeah, to me in this draft, I'm not touching a quarterback in the top 50 or top 75. Third, fourth, fifth round is where I take my shot. And I think that's ideally where I think they're going to go ultimately at that position. Cole Payton, I think he could end up rising to the fourth round. I really do. Again, there's not a lot of quarterbacks. 99, Nuss, Peyton, Green in that order. Garrett, Nuss, Peyton, Green in that order. Yeah, I'd put, after Simpson, I'd throw a Lar somewhere in there. I'd throw a Lar probably after Nuss. And then Peyton and Green probably would be my order. The other quarterback in round 7. Yeah, could be. So, to me, let's bring it full circle because we've talked about free agency, we talked about trade, we talked about the draft, we talked about the option. It's not if they're getting one, it's just when, right? So free agency gives you kind of the experience. Trade's going to give you the upside. The unfinished former high draft picks we talked about in Richardson, kind of the reclamation projects, right? Calculated swings. The draft's going to give you projection. These are 3 different paths, 3 different levels of risk. Free agency is the short-term structure. Trades you're betting on those traits, man, in the trade market. That's what I like. They haven't fully hit. And the draft's always something. You're taking the swing on what you got. It's always the present unopened. And as soon as you open it, it loses value, right? It's like draft picks. They're very valuable until you trade them and they're used. They don't want the guy you took at 45. They want the 45th pick, right? So all these answers, all these 3 are going to answer the same question, right? What does this regime believe about its time? If they go free agency, it's more stability. If they go trade, they're going to bet on the upside with some variables. If they go draft, they're committing to a guy long-term or all 3 in the middle. It's not about the names, it's about the direction. Are they going to be – and I think this regime has figured it out because the quarterback position we talked about today isn't just a roster move. It's everything. I mean, it's how you solve things. And that's what they are. That's who they are. And I do have confidence in the regime doing it the right way at least. Now, can they get the right player? That's another story. We did one Ty Simpson on 11, but not to the Dolphins. Okay, if you're saying a trade up, I don't think this is going to be a draft where many teams trade up. I don't think you got to have 2 to tango. I just don't see that. I don't know if Ty's good enough for teams to want to go move up. So, what I like the most about this when I looked at this regime is it's about building something sustainable here. It's not about buying time. And that's why when we talked about all this stuff with kind of the reset, for years this franchise felt like it was forcing the timeline, trying to accelerate things, trying to patch holes instead of rebuilding the foundation. That's why when I pushed for the complete reset during the end of the season, quarterback coach or GM, you're not on borrowed time. You're starting your own timeline. You're setting the time. You can be patient. You don't force moves. You don't chase relevancy. You're building it the right way. And that's how you finally get off this damn 25-year treadmill. I think we've been heading, and I think we're in the right direction. I got good news for you Dolphin fans. But it's going to be fascinating to see which direction they choose. Will it be one of the names we talked about tonight? Free agency in the draft, trade. We know it'll be one of those avenues. And we talked about each pass saying something different. Now I want to hear from you guys. Which direction would you go? If you're watching it after this video, drop it on the comments below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, help support us so we can keep growing. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next live. Because the quarterback decision isn't just getting started. This should be fun. It's going to be one of the bigger, funner decisions this team makes. None of the game is competition at every position. Name of the game, it's competition at every position. There's a chance for any of these quarterbacks to step in and start, maybe even a franchise spot. We're in the age of Baker and Darnold emerging. Yes, quarterback development is not linear. You always take chances on these guys. And I think this regime's learned that. I think that's the biggest difference that we're going to see is these are lotto tickets, like I say, and the more you have, the more chances you can win. But I appreciate you guys going solo. I was going solo tonight. I appreciate you guys really helped me out in the chat, kept it flowing. Thanks so much. Trade for Willis or Howard, draft Nuts or Green, roll with viewers starting this season. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Everybody in the chat who shout out Lou, Jacob, Jordan, Robert, Daddy, 99, Idol Man, Clown Prince, everybody. If I missed you, thank you guys so much. Again, we will see you next time. We'll be live on Saturday. We got a special guest and a special mock draft, our second annual of somebody with somebody. Think about it, you can probably figure it out. Jordan, thank you, sir. All right, guys, everybody, stay safe. Have a great night. And shout out to my mom. It's her birthday today. I want to give her a big shout out. Love you, Mom. And let's go. Appreciate it, guys. Stay Fins faithful. We, as always, stay safe. Have a great night. And Fins up. We are out.